Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, it's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And man, oh man, I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, it is always so nice to have context to what a lot of these trade magazines, a lot of these insiders out there, a lot of these access media will try to run out there in headlines. And one of the headlines that was running over the weekend out there was that Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan Kenobi would be returning to Star Wars, boys and girls, and that you would see him very, very, very soon. But once again, it's one of them situations where it's why it's always so important to do your own research, right? Why it's so never just to trust the headline, to look a little bit beyond farther things. And if you can find a video of the comments and of the questions and asks and all that kind of stuff, it is always very important to see that kind of thing in its full context, because you simply cannot trust the legacy media anymore, boys and girls. It's one of the reasons why people on the commentary section have grown so far on a lot of these video streaming platforms out there. It's why you come to reviewers on platforms like YouTube and Rumble and stuff like that to see whether or not a movie is something you actually want to go see, or whether or not a television show is worth your time. It's why you don't go to The Hollywood Reporter. It's why you don't go to Variety. It's why you don't go to Deadline, and you find your favorite content creator out there, your favorite movie reviewer, your independent journalist that you can actually trust, whose opinion you actually know is not going to blow a bunch of smoke up your butt. Well, boys and girls, in another one of them situations where you simply cannot trust the headlines, especially from the legacy media, well, it turns out when the full video, when the full context was shown up out there, it turns out Ewan McGregor is not coming back for Ahsoka Season 2, despite all of the headlines and all of the fan excitement that happened over the weekend over there, boys and girls. And I know a lot of you out there might be very disappointed after clicking on this video to find that out. But at the end of the day, we are all about reporting the truth and giving you an honest assessment of what is actually going on. And it's another reason why we didn't do a video over this, him returning to begin with, because at the end of the day, we didn't have the full context, and now we have exactly that. So we're going to take this article from Fandom Pulse, getting all the juicy details of exactly what the full context is. And of course, shout out Ewan McGregor for who his wife is and the character she plays in the Ahsoka series. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing. We just crossed 2,100. We're sailing our way towards 22. I think we're sitting at like 2,135, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. What do you think about this? Are you disappointed about this news? Were you excited to see Ewan McGregor return in Ahsoka Season 2 and return to Star Wars overall as a whole? Does it surprise you at all that the Hollywood trade magazines ran with a catchy headline to get all of your clicks, and then it turns out once you got some actual context, it turns out the whole thing turned out to be not true? Or do you want to see Ewan McGregor return in this current version of Disney Kathleen Kennedy Star Wars, or would you like to see them leave the Obi-Wan character completely and totally alone, especially after the abomination that was happened of the Obi-Wan series out there? Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. If you like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. And it's one of them situations where Ewan McGregor is very well aware of how poorly the Obi-Wan series was received by the fans, not to mention all the issues with continuity and being a girl boss show and everything else and all that other kind of nonsense out there. So he wants to return. He wants to be able to return to Star Wars to try to fix some of the damage that Kathleen Kennedy and Disney Star Wars have done to his character. As to whether or not that'll actually happen or whether or not that's even possible at this point, I have no idea, ladies and gentlemen. But you know what? We love ourselves some Ewan McGregor. Actor Ewan McGregor, who plays Obi-Wan Kenobi in Disney Star Wars, will reportedly not appear in the Ahsoka Season 2, as his comments were taken out of context. Over the weekend, a number of outlets claimed that McGregor was going to appear in Ahsoka Season 2 based off comments he'd made during an appearance at Fan Expo Boston's 2025. As part of his comments, it was reported he said, "We begin shooting Season 2 Ahsoka soon." Wait, was I supposed to say that? Whoopsie, I accidentally let the cat out of the bag over there on that one. And of course, this would not be the first time, and it's not really surprising that people saw this and kind of ran with that without understanding the full context, because it's not the first time we've seen cats out of the bag let out at a lot of these cons, because fans are going to ask their questions. And of course, they're desperate to know, especially with such a beloved actor as Ewan McGregor and such a beloved character as Obi-Wan Kenobi, despite what Disney's done with him. It's one of those situations where fans are desperate to see him come back. They're desperate to see him reprise his role and hopefully correct a lot of the mistakes that were done in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series out there. And so, of course, they're going to ask this. And sometimes these actors are only human after all, despite what some of the trade magazines would have you believe. They are only human after all, and they are going to slip up and screw up. Yes, Mark Ruffalo. Yes, Tom Holland. We're looking at you, and we thank you for all of the leaks. So it's one of them situations where it's really kind of funny where it's supposed to go on. However, McGregor was not talking about himself, but his wife, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who plays Hera Syndulla in Ahsoka. And boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, as a person who actually went through and watched Ahsoka, for all of you fabulous folks out there, despite the issues with that series, despite it being nothing more than Dave Filoni's Tumblr fan fiction, Hera Syndulla and the actress, i.e. McGregor's wife, Elizabeth Winstead, was the one bright spot in that entire series. Not only was she a great actress and did a wonderful job portraying Hera, but boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, watching her walk away on screen was the absolute, beyond a shadow of a doubt, best part about Ahsoka. And shout out to Ewan McGregor, because, boy, you nailed yourself a good one right there. I'm sure you enjoy watching her walk away as much as what we do. Probably part of the reason why you married her. And I hope the Lord blesses their relationship continuing going on and they stay together for absolutely forever, because he is a lucky man and she's the only bright spot in this entire series, boys and girls. As originally reported by Collider, Mr. McGregor was asked, what is your favorite installment that you are not part of? He answered, well, I like watching my wife, so I really enjoyed Ahsoka. And honestly, trust me, you and all of the rest of us out there enjoyed watching your wife as well. I thought this was brilliantly done. It's so funny. She's shooting the second season now, and I know, is that a secret? Oh, there you go. Once again, the Hollywood trade magazines took what he said out of context for their flashy clickbaity headlines. Although we do occasionally lean a little bit into clickbait here, we try to actually give you some substance and some honest information. We're not just trying to get your ad revenue around here, boys and girls. After being reassured it had already been reported a second season was shooting, McGregor said, well, she is anyway. And so I just finished doing a play. So I'm at home with our son, who's 4, and I take him to school and everything. And then I'm, bumbling around the house, and I'd fetch a FaceTime. I forgot that she's going to be green, She pops up and oh my God. Oh, yes. Often she's in the trailer with all the head stuff on, but she's just green. She's a very beautiful green lady. So I love that. And that is beautiful. I love that too. And I love that too. The fact that he's so in love with his wife. He's like, even though she's all in green makeup, she's still beautiful. And I love that. And honestly, she does. She looks good in the great, but she does great in the makeup. She does great as that kind of character, as that kind of alien species. And like I said, she was probably one of the few bright spots, despite all of the physical jokes I've made about her particular attributes out there. She was one of the only bright spots in that entire series. A little girl bossy sometimes, but hey, it's Disney Star Wars under Kathleen Kennedy. What else could you expect? But at the end of the day, she was wonderful in the series, and I'm glad to see that Ewan is very much in love with his wife and that she's a wonderful, beautiful lady. It's unclear when McGregor might return to the role of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It was rumored a couple of months ago by Daniel Richmond that a second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi series is in development at Lucasfilm. Take anything that comes out of Richmond's mouth with a giant grain of salt. His track record is about 50-50 at best, boys and girls. However, McGregor had previously been begging fans to launch a campaign to get the show renewed. At MegaCon in Orlando, Florida, he said it was originally going to be a movie. And I often thought, well, it should have been a movie. But I kind of think it's great what we did in a way, and it's a longer story. And hopefully it's more satisfying as a result. We got more time to weave a story. So I just hope we can do another one. Can everyone write to Disney? I'll give you some email addresses at the end. I'll just say, Dear Disney, let's have another. Let's have a bit more Obi-Wan Kenobi, please. And honestly, a lot of the fans would love to do that. But we need an actual Obi-Wan story, right? We need an actual Obi-Wan Kenobi story that doesn't completely and totally damage canon like what we saw what happened in the Disney streaming service out there series. So it's one of them situations where I think everybody would love to see him come back. I think everybody would love to see his character redeemed. And everybody just be able to forget what happened in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, that's not going to happen in Ahsoka Season 2. And if you fail prey to all of the headlines out there from a lot of the legacy media institutions, a lot of the clickbait farms out there that do that kind of thing, I apologize. But hopefully you'll have found this video and hopefully you'll know now the truth that Ewan McGregor is not showing up in Ahsoka Season 2. It's simply his beautiful and wonderful wife out there who will show up as Hera on screen again. And honestly, one of those boys and girls situations, although I'm not super excited to watch Ahsoka Season 2 and review it for you guys out there, I am at least excited to see Hera return, and I'm glad to see that the relationship between her and her husband is so wonderful, so beautiful, and so absolutely loving, because at the end of the day, that is one of the most important choices you can make in your life as a person, and especially as a man, as to who ends up being your wife and who stands next to you throughout all of the craziness going on in your life. And it sounds like Ewan McGregor definitely got a good one. And it sounds like he's super excited to see his wife back in green. And honestly, boys and girls, despite everything else wrong with Ahsoka, I think the fans certainly will enjoy that as well. After all, it's not easy being green. A big shout out to all of our subscribers and members out there. Thanks for watching, and make sure you guys like and subscribe if you have not already.